Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I am Shafanny Rasya. I would like to retell a novel that I have read before. The title is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and the genre is psychological thriller. The story of this novel begins when Marian Andrews received a call from her niece named Zoe. Marian Andrews is a group therapist. She is a widow. Her husband, named Sebastian, died because he drowned in the river in Naples when they took a vacation. And her parents already died. Her mother died because of cancer, and she said that her father died because of a heart attack. Now, Mariana only has Zoe. And Zoe only has Mariana because Zoe's parents died because of a car accident. After the death of her parents, Mariana looks after Zoe like her own daughter. When she received a call from Zoe, Zoe said that the body of a young woman had been found in the Paradise Woods near Cambridge University. It where she was studying. And it was Tara's body. Tara was Zoe's close friend. After receiving the call, Mariana immediately came to Cambridge to look after Zoe. When she arrived at Cambridge, Zoe told Mariana about Professor Edward Fosca. Zoe accused him of being a murderer. Edward Fosca is a charismatic, handsome, popular, and intelligent lecturer. Many female students admire him. Some of them made a secret society named the Maidens, and Tara was the group member. Before the murder of Tara told Zoe that she had slept with Professor Fosca. Tara threatened to tell the college, but Professor Fosca threatened to kill Tara because he was afraid if people knew about that. After Mariana heard about Professor Fosca that Zoe had told her, she also accused Professor Fosca and intended to make some investigations. During the investigation, Mariana met Julian. Julian was her old classmate. Julian and Mariana studied about the murder and said that the murder was extremely brutal and violent. Mariana also assumed that the killer was male. Mariana is frequently anxious and exhibits signs of paranoia. She was inclined to leave the investigation to the professionals, but Zoe pressured her to get involved. To unravel the truth, Mariana investigates the Maidens, but they were non-cooperative and they were toxic. Mariana also met Elsie, who was Tara's housekeeper. Elsie said that she disliked the Maidens because they sometimes bullied Tara, although Tara was the member of the Maidens too. Mariana then asked Elsie to let Mariana see Tara's room, and Elsie agreed. In Tara's room, Mariana found a postcard of a Titan painting with a quote from Euripides about the sacrifice of a maiden, a nobleman's daughter, to Persephone. During her journey, Mariana met Brent, who is a PhD student. He had a crush with Mariana. Fred often helped Mariana and they often spent time together, sometimes to drink coffee and to discuss the case. When Mariana was with Fred, Zoe called her and said that another body of a young woman had been found. Mariana and Fred immediately went to the site and met Julian to see the woman's body. And it was Veronica's body. Veronica was the other group members of the Maidens. The pathologist confirms that Veronica was killed by the same person like Tara. They were both found with their throats cut and stabbed post-mortem. A pine cone was also found on each of their bodies. And Marianne also found some postcards with quotations from Europeans about death and sacrifice, it written in ancient Greek, and she found it in the place where Veronica was last seen by people. After Mariana found out that there were two victims, she intended to know more information about Professor Fosca. It made Fosca notice Mariana's interest in him. Then he invited her to dinner. Mariana asked him about the pine cone, and he told Mariana how the pine cone was a symbol given to each initiate into the cult of Elysius. He also told Mariana about his unhappy childhood on a farm. Mariana also saw his copy of Euripides' complete works with one of the quotations on the postcards underlined. It making her certain he was the murderer. The next morning, Elsie came to Mariana's door and said that another body was found, and it was Serena. Serena was a member of the Maidens too. Mariana also found one of the postcards with ancient Greek quotes under her own door. In the final investigation, other members of the Maidens told Mariana that Zoe was also a group member, and Zoe finally admitted. She also said that she attended one of Fosca's initiation ceremonies, which he usually did before killing the victims. But she ran away when he started kissing and touching her. Zoe also admitted that she also received a postcard with ancient Greek quotes. When Mariana knew about that, she decided to take Zoe back to London. However, Zoe refused. She wanted to uncover the truth and wanted to prove that Fosca was guilty. She said that she knew where Professor Eva Fosca hid the murder knife. Zoe asked Mariana to find the knife with her to the woodland. Zoe was taking a shower before going to the woodland, and Mariana was waiting for her in Zoe's room. Mariana still intended to take her back to London, and after she took a shower, she would take Zoe to London and not following her to go to the woodland. However, Mariana was speechless when she found the romantic letter in Zoe's stuffed zebra. She found it when she prepared Zoe's stuff. At first, Mariana thought that it was from Professor Fosca. However, she confused. She finally agreed with Zoe to accompany her to find the murder knife. When Mariana and Zoe find the knife, Zoe reveals her intention to kill Mariana. Zoe also admits that Sebastian was the man who wrote that romantic letter and that they were in love. Sebastian, also the person who killed Mariana's father. He killed him after he knew about Sebastian's affair with Zoe. Mariana's father actually didn't die because of a heart attack, but Sebastian killed him. Zoe also said that Sebastian married Mariana for her father's fortune, and Sebastian was also the man who formulated this elaborate plan to kill Mariana. After Sebastian's accidental death, Zoe decided to carry out his plan. Zoe also framed Fosca. Zoe planted the postcards and underlined the passage in his books. She also planted some hairs from Tara's head behind Fosca's wardrobe, and then she drew Mariana into the investigation and got her try to convince the police that it was Fosca. After telling the truth, Zoe tried to kill Mariana. Mariana felt a sudden force on her back. She was knocked to the ground with Zoe on her back. Mariana struggled, but Zoe used all of her weight. She climbed off Mariana and flipped her onto her back. She loomed over her, raising the knife, and her eyes were wild. She said to Mariana that Mariana will be remembered as just another of Edward Fosca's victims. When Zoe raised the knife higher, about to strike, Mariana suddenly found her strength. She reached out and grabbed Zoe's arm. They tussled for a moment before Mariana swung Zoe's hand as hard as she could, and it made Zoe lose control of the knife, and the knife flew out of her hand. Zoe looking for the knife, and Mariana pulled herself out, and she noticed that someone was appearing behind the trees, and it was Fred. He was hurrying over, looking concerned, and he didn't see that Zoe kneeling in the grass. Mariana tried to warn him, but he didn't stop and quickly reached her. Over his shoulder, Mariana saw Zoe rising up and clutching the knife. Mariana screamed, but it was too late. Zoe stabbed the knife deep into Fred's back. His eyes widened, and he stared at Mariana in shock. He then collapsed and sank to the ground. A pool of blood seeped out from under him. Before Zoe can stab him again, Mariana hits Zoe with a rock, which caused Zoe to fall over and impale herself with the knife. Zoe was screaming in agony and fear and horror. Mariana called the ambulance and took Fred to the hospital, and also called the police, who took Zoe away. Fred finally survived, and Zoe ended up being declared unfit to stand the trial. She was eventually committed to a secure unit named the Grove in North London. It was the unit where Mariana's friend named Theo Faber works. After several days, Theo called Mariana a few times, but Mariana refused to talk to him because she knew what he wanted to tell her. He wanted to get Mariana to speak to Zoe because it could be pivotal in Zoe's recovery. Mariana was not ready to visit Zoe because she had tried to kill her. One night, when Mariana lay in bed and shut her eyes, a face appeared in her mind. It was the face of a little girl, a small and frightened girl of 6. It was Zoe's face. After that, Mariana realized that Zoe is extremely unwell. She knew that she had to face it and visit Zoe. In one snowy February, she was making her way to North London, to the Grove, to visit her niece, Zoe. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.